My beloved brothers and sisters, many times in life, we fall into the trap of trying to please every single person around us. We bend, we break, we sacrifice our peace and even our principles just so that others may approve of us. But remember, no matter how much you try, you will never be able to satisfy everyone. The more you chase their approval, the more you lose yourself. What truly matters is pleasing Allah and being at peace with who you are. Today, let us reflect on this powerful reminder. Stop pleasing everyone. When we think about life, one of the hardest realities to accept is that it is absolutely impossible to please everyone. Human beings have different minds, different thoughts, different preferences, and different expectations. You may try your best, you may exhaust yourself day and night, but no matter how much effort you put in, there will always be someone who is not satisfied. That is simply the nature of people. One person might love what you do, and at the very same moment, another person might criticize you for it. If you speak, some will admire your words while others will twist them. If you remain silent, some will appreciate your calmness while others will accuse you of being weak or indifferent. This shows us that chasing universal approval is a race with no finish line, and you will never win because the rules keep changing with every person you meet. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a crowd, holding a basket of fruit. One individual says, "I want apples." Another says, "No, bring me oranges." A third demands, "Where are the bananas?" If that person tries to satisfy each one of them, they will quickly run out of energy, resources, and patience, only to find that some still remain unhappy. This is how life is when we make it our mission to please everyone. You end up drained, broken, and feeling empty inside, because the reality is that the demands of people are endless. When you live with this mindset, you put yourself into slavery of public opinion. Every step you take is measured by whether someone will clap or someone will frown. You lose your own freedom because your decisions are no longer based on your principles or what pleases Allah, but on what will make people smile. This way of living is dangerous because people's hearts are never consistent. The one who praises you today may be the one who criticizes you tomorrow. If you tie your happiness to their words, then your life will be nothing but a roller coaster of ups and downs, leaving you restless. Think about the prophets, the most beloved of Allah. Did everyone love them? Did everyone agree with them? No. In fact, they faced rejection, mockery, insults, and even threats to their lives. Yet they were the most truthful, the most compassionate, and the most sincere of people. If anyone deserved to be loved by all, it was them. But Allah showed us that no matter how righteous you are, no matter how pure your intention is, you cannot win the approval of all people. Some hearts will accept you and others will reject you. This teaches us that it is not a failure on your part when people are displeased with you. It is simply a reflection of the diversity and inconsistency of human beings. Many of us waste so much time worrying, "What will they think of me?" That single question controls our lives more than we realize. You hesitate to dress a certain way, speak your truth, or pursue your goals because of this fear. But the truth is, they are never a single person. They are 100 voices, each contradicting the other, each demanding something different. And when you stop to think deeply, you will realize that those people are busy with their own lives, their own struggles, and their own insecurities. They may not even remember what you said or did yesterday, yet you sacrificed your peace trying to impress them. Living for people's approval is like drinking salty water to quench your thirst. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. You think you are getting closer to satisfaction, but in reality you are harming yourself. You cannot hold on to peace while constantly seeking validation from people who cannot even find peace within themselves. So why should you tie your worth to their judgment? Even within one household, pleasing everyone is not possible. Parents, siblings, children all have different personalities and desires. If you try to meet them all, you will end up disappointing yourself and still not succeeding in fulfilling everyone's demands. This is why wisdom teaches us that the only approval truly worth seeking is that of Allah. When your intention is correct and your actions are sincere, then even if the whole world frowns at you, you remain strong because you know you are on the right path. The impossibility of pleasing all people is not something negative. Rather, it is a form of freedom. Once you accept it, you no longer feel crushed by unrealistic expectations. You learn to set boundaries. You learn to say no. You learn to walk on your path with confidence, understanding that it is better to be genuine and true than to be fake and accepted. Because the truth is, even when you act in a way to please someone, they might still misinterpret you. They might still complain. And then you are left with nothing but regret for betraying your own self. This is why one of the greatest steps toward peace of mind is to stop measuring yourself by the reaction of people. Their approval is temporary, conditional, and fragile. One mistake and everything you built with them collapses. But when you do something for the sake of Allah, it is secure because His approval does not change with moods or misunderstandings. He knows your heart, He knows your effort, and He knows your sincerity. The importance of seeking Allah's pleasure first is one of the greatest lessons that can transform the way you live your life. When you shift your focus from people's approval to Allah's approval, everything changes. You begin to realize that the opinion of the entire world cannot harm you if Allah is pleased with you, and the praise of every person cannot benefit you if Allah is displeased with you. This truth brings immense clarity because it frees you from the endless cycle of chasing human validation and anchors your heart in something eternal, unchanging, and meaningful. Allah's pleasure is unlike the fleeting approval of people. Human beings can be pleased with you today and angry with you tomorrow, even for reasons beyond your control. Someone may love you simply because you did them a favor, and they may dislike you later simply because you refused a request you could not fulfill. Their hearts change with circumstances, emotions, and misunderstandings, but Allah's pleasure is steady and constant. It is not built on moods or misunderstandings, but on truth, sincerity, and obedience. When you strive to please Allah, you know exactly where you stand, because He has clearly told us in His revelation what pleases Him and what displeases Him. Think about how much peace comes from this understanding. When your actions are guided by seeking Allah's approval, you no longer feel the need to adjust yourself endlessly for every opinion around you. Instead of asking, will they like me if I do this? You begin to ask, will Allah be pleased with me if I do this? That single change in mindset is liberating. It simplifies your life because now your compass is clear. Instead of hundreds of conflicting voices pulling you in every direction, you follow the voice of truth that is consistent and trustworthy. We see countless examples in history of people who chose to seek Allah's pleasure over people's approval. The prophets are the best example. They stood firm in their message even when their entire communities opposed them. Prophet Nuh preached for hundreds of years, yet only a few people followed him. If he had been concerned with numbers or public opinion, he would have stopped early on. But his focus was not on pleasing the people, it was on pleasing Allah, and that gave him the strength to continue. Prophet Ibrahim stood against his entire society when they worshipped idols. His own father opposed him. If he had sought the approval of his people, he would have bowed down to their idols, but he chose instead to seek Allah's pleasure, and Allah raised his status for all time. Even in our daily lives, we face situations where the choice is between pleasing people or pleasing Allah. Sometimes it may be in your workplace where you are asked to compromise your values for the sake of fitting in. Sometimes it may be with your friends who encourage you towards something that displeases Allah. At those moments, you must remind yourself, people's approval is temporary, but Allah's approval is eternal. If you choose to please them at the cost of displeasing Allah, their opinion of you may still change tomorrow, and you will have lost both. But if you choose to please Allah, even if people are upset with you, Allah can change their hearts in ways you cannot imagine, and if they never change, you still have the contentment of knowing you did the right thing. Seeking Allah's pleasure also protects your heart from disappointment. Many times people work tirelessly to earn someone's love, gratitude, or appreciation, only to be ignored or taken for granted. That pain cuts deeply because you expected a reward from them. But when you do something purely for Allah's sake, you do not feel hurt if others fail to notice. You did not do it for them anyway, so their response no longer dictates your peace. You trust that Allah saw it, Allah appreciated it, and Allah will reward you, whether in this life or in the hereafter. It is also important to remember that seeking Allah's pleasure first does not mean neglecting kindness to people. In fact, one of the ways to please Allah is by showing good character and compassion to His creation. The difference is that your kindness is no longer dependent on their reaction. You are kind, not because they will thank you, but because Allah loves those who are kind. You are honest, not because people will always believe you, but because Allah loves the truthful. You fulfill your promises, not because people will always appreciate it, but because Allah loves those who honor their word. This way, your actions remain consistent even when people are inconsistent. Because your ultimate goal is Allah's approval, there will always be times when what pleases Allah does not please people. And this is the true test of your faith. Do you choose the comfort of human praise, or do you choose the honor of divine approval? The one who chooses Allah may lose friends, face criticism, or stand alone at times, but they gain something far greater: the protection, guidance, and support of the one who controls every heart. And in the long run, people often come to respect those who stand firm in their principles, even if they disagreed with them initially. When you understand the importance of seeking Allah's pleasure first, you also realize that you cannot control people's hearts. No matter how hard you try, you cannot force them to love you or agree with you. But Allah holds the hearts of people in His hands. If He is pleased with you, He can turn those hearts in your favor. And if He is displeased, no amount of effort can win them over. This is why the Prophet Muhammad said that when Allah loves a servant, He calls Jibreel to love him. And then the people of the heavens and the earth are made to love Him as well. This is the true source of acceptance, not desperate attempts to please people, but genuine efforts to please Allah. The danger of losing your own identity in constant approval seeking is so thing many people do not recognize until they are already trapped inside it. When you live for the sake of what others think, slowly but surely you begin to reshape yourself according to their preferences. You adjust your words, your actions, even your dreams, not because this is who you are, but because this is who they want you to be. Over time, you can forget your own voice, your own values, and your own vision, and this is one of the greatest losses a person can suffer. At first, it may seem harmless. You dress in a way someone else likes. You hide your real opinion to avoid offending them. You say yes when you truly want to say no. You convince yourself that it is just a small compromise for the sake of harmony. But every time you silence your true self for approval, you chip away at your own identity. Little by little, you build a mask to show the world, and behind that mask, your real self becomes weaker and quieter, until one day you no longer recognize who you are without the opinions of others guiding you. Living like this creates an internal conflict that never ends. On the outside, you may appear confident, friendly, or successful because you have mastered the art of pleasing people. But inside, there is emptiness and confusion because your life is not being driven by your true purpose. It is being driven by fear, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of being disliked. And fear is a very weak foundation to build a meaningful life on. When when you constantly seek approval, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to others. Imagine sitting in a car and letting every passenger take turns directing where to go. One person tells you to turn right, another shouts to go left, another demands you stop. In the end, you are exhausted, you have wasted fuel, and you still have not reached your destination. This is what happens when you live by everyone's opinions. You may gain temporary approval, but you lose direction, you lose time, and you lose yourself. The danger is even greater because people's expectations are never the same. To one person, you are too quiet. To another, you speak too much. To one, you are too religious. To another, you are not religious enough. If you shape yourself to fit their definitions, you will always be stretched thin, and you will never feel whole. You become like water poured into different containers, always taking the shape of what surrounds you, but never having a form of your own. This loss of identity can also harm your relationship with Allah. Instead of doing things sincerely for His sake, you may begin to act only for the sake of how others perceive you. You may pray, not because you are devoted, but because you want to be seen as devout. You may give charity, not because of compassion, but because you want people to praise your generosity. You may even abandon parts of your faith because you fear that people will not accept you if you follow them. This kind of living is dangerous because it replaces sincerity with performance, and it turns worship into a show. Constant approval seeking also brings a lot of stress and anxiety. Every time you post something, you check how many likes it gets. Every time you speak, you replay it in your mind, wondering if people misunderstood. Every time you make a decision, you feel restless, thinking about who might be unhappy. Your peace depends on others' reactions, and since those reactions are unpredictable, your peace is always fragile. You can never truly relax because your sense of worth is not in your control. It is in the hands of others. Another danger is that people will begin to sense that you are not being authentic. At first, they may be pleased because you are giving them what they want, but eventually they realize that your words and actions lack depth. They may even lose respect for you, because deep down people admire those who stand firm in their principles, even if they disagree with them. In trying to make everyone like you, you may end up making no one truly respect you. Your identity is a gift from Allah. Your personality, your talents, your values, and your experiences were given to you for a reason. When you bury them under the weight of approval seeking, you are not only betraying yourself, but you are also wasting the unique contribution you are meant to make in this world. Each person has something valuable to bring, but if you are too busy imitating others or adjusting yourself to fit their mold, your own light never shines. The saddest part is that once you lose yourself in the pursuit of others' validation, it becomes difficult to find your way back. You may forget what you truly enjoy, what you truly believe, or what you truly want in life. You may feel empty because every choice you made was borrowed from someone else's opinion. And when those same people you tried so hard to please move on, criticize you, or abandon you, you are left with nothing because your identity was never rooted in something lasting. This is why losing yourself to approval seeking is such a great danger. It steals your authenticity. It weakens your sincerity. It burdens your heart with anxiety, and it deprives the world of the real you. Finding true peace in authenticity and sincerity is one of the most liberating experiences a person can have. When you stop pretending, when you stop molding yourself to fit into everyone's expectations, and when you finally allow yourself to be who you truly are, life becomes lighter. Authenticity means living in alignment with your values, your beliefs, and your truth, rather than living as a reflection of what others want from you. Sincerity means that your actions are driven by pure intentions, not by performance or the need for recognition. Together, authenticity and sincerity create a foundation for real peace. Peace that does not crumble when people criticize you, and peace that does not depend on temporary approval. Authenticity begins with self-awareness. You must first know who you are and what you stand for. Many people go through life wearing masks, not even realizing that they have lost touch with their true selves. They measure their worth only through the eyes of others, and so their entire personality is shaped by outside validation. But when you stop to reflect and reconnect with your values, your faith, and your unique strengths, you begin to realize that you do not need to be everything to everyone. You only need to be true to the person Allah created you to be. That realization alone brings a deep sense of relief. Living authentically does not mean you will never face criticism. In fact, it often means you will face even more of it, because authenticity challenges the world around you. People are used to others conforming to their expectations, so when you stand firm in who you are, it may unsettle them. But the peace that comes from knowing you are being honest with yourself and with Allah is far greater than the discomfort of being misunderstood. You no longer have to keep track of lies, pretend to agree when you don't, or exhaust yourself trying to perform for every audience. Instead, your inner and outer worlds align, and that alignment creates calmness in your heart. Sincerity is the second key to this peace. You may live authentically, but if your actions are not sincere, if they are still tied to people's opinions, then you will not find lasting contentment. Sincerity means doing good because it is right, not because it is noticed. It means being kind, even when no one is watching, speaking the truth, even when it brings you no benefit, and worshipping Allah, even if no one else recognizes your devotion. When your actions are fueled by sincerity, they bring tranquility, because you know that Allah sees you and His approval is enough. One of the most beautiful things about authenticity and sincerity is that they remove the constant pressure of comparison. Many people feel anxious because they measure themselves against others, how they look, what they own, how much success they have. But when you live authentically, you stop comparing your journey to theirs. You realize that you have your own path, your own timeline, and your own purpose. You no longer envy what others have because you are too busy living your own truth with sincerity. And when you are sincere, you stop competing for applause because you know that the only one you need to impress is Allah, who already knows what is in your heart. This way of living also strengthens your relationships. When you are authentic, people can trust you because they know you are not pretending to be someone you are not. They may not always agree with you, but they will respect you for being real. When you are sincere, your kindness and generosity are genuine, not acts of manipulation or self-promotion. People may not always say it, but deep down they recognize the difference between someone who helps for recognition and someone who helps out of sincerity. Authenticity and sincerity may not attract everyone, but they attract the right people, the ones who value truth and loyalty. Peace also comes from the fact that authenticity and sincerity connect you directly to Allah without filters. You do not need to put on a show for Him because He already knows your heart. You do not need to pretend to be perfect because He knows your weaknesses and your struggles. When you stand before Allah with sincerity, even your shortcomings are transformed into opportunities for growth because you are honest with Him about your need for His guidance and mercy. That kind of relationship brings a deep, unshakable peace because it is built on truth rather than illusion. There is also a special kind of courage in authenticity. It takes bravery to say, "This is who I am," in a world that constantly tells you who you should be. It takes strength to say no when everyone else is saying yes, and it takes patience to remain sincere when no one acknowledges your efforts. But that courage pays off with peace of mind. mind. You no longer feel enslaved to opinions, and you no longer fear rejection, because your worth is not tied to their acceptance. It is tied to your authenticity before yourself and your sincerity before Allah. Even in small daily choices, authenticity and sincerity make life easier. Instead of overthinking every word and every action, you simply act according to your values and your faith. Instead of wondering if people will approve, you ask if it is true to who you are and pleasing to Allah. This simplicity reduces stress and brings clarity. Decisions become less about juggling expectations and more about aligning with what is right. That clarity is peace, because confusion and contradiction are some of the greatest sources of anxiety. Ultimately, true peace does not come from the outside. It does not come from applause, approval, or validation. Those things can bring temporary happiness, but they fade quickly. True peace comes from within, when your heart, your actions, and your intentions are aligned in authenticity and sincerity. It is the kind of peace that stays with you, whether you are praised or criticized, whether you are surrounded by people or standing alone, because it is rooted in something deeper than human opinion.